So if you saw the old shop in One Porsche Drive, we had 2 dedicated bays to factory restoration.
Oh,
so
wow.
here we have 14.
Wow.
Our engine unit room here, as we continue to grow, we could effectively work on 16 engines at once.
Oh, wow, okay.
If we crammed people on top of each other in the old building, we could do 4.
Wow.
So
that's a big change.
It's really, again, when you look at the critical investments that are made, as great as this is, and it's yes, it is a business. It's really a commitment to the owners.
Yeah.
It's part of the extension of the brand. So,
Yeah.
As you can see, we were talking about 3, 5, 6s before. So yes, we've got 2. One that is,
Wow.
nearing completion. As soon as this is done, we will start reassembling. The red one, again, we also had
How
one
cool.
that just got picked up by its owner today. So,
Wow.
there was 3 right there in and of itself.
How long has this one been here? Do you know off the top of your head?
So that came in actually pre-pandemic.
Oh,
So
wow,
one of the
okay.
things that we had, so that car we actually went through, it started with an owner. The car came in came in black with a red interior.
Oh, wow.
One of the fun elements of what we do is when we research the car, sometimes the owner never researched the car. That one happened to buy the car because he loved the black exterior with the red interior. And we got to go, got some news for you. Your car was originally red.
Oh, no.
And then it comes, do you want us to keep it the way you bought it, or do
Yeah.
you want to make it original? And he's like, we wanted to make it original. So that's why it's now red.
Oh, that's good.
That one, he may have been the 4th or 5th owner of that car.
Oh, wow.
Didn't have the entire history. So that car, when we took it apart, was, let's just say, roughly 40% of the shell was missing. There was just that much wear and holes and patched together in a very unique way.
Wow.
So we actually had to almost rebuild that entire vehicle
wow.
shell from scratch.
Cool.
The problem was the pandemic hit. We didn't have our building and our body shop at that point in time. So some things were out of our control. Obviously, different parts of the world viewed what was going on in the pandemic differently. So being able to execute that in a timely fashion, that wasn't working out extremely well for us. But still, we find ways to, immerse some of those difficult times in a positive fashion with the owners by keeping them engaged and come visit us, see what's going on, look at the different cars that we're doing. So it's,
They'll get it back and be happy to see it.
yeah, and the story that they have is, to levels much further than they ever could have, imagined in
That's
any
awesome.
other way, shape, or form. And when we look at, the artwork that we've picked, some of these things are just generic, fun, inspiring pictures. Others are iconic and unique cars that we built, and different
cool.
cars that, as we talked about history earlier, so we have, it's blocked right now, but the oak green metallic Carrera GT. Again, when we look at Sunderland's recommission, that wasn't intentionally the Pilot, but that was the first car that we went to a very in-depth level of personalization, changing materials inside the car, all colors outside the car. So that was groundbreaking. That is a point in time in a historic vehicle for us. And so we put it up on the wall. The 930 next to it is a delivery mile car. So going that car, 30, 40 years old, and all of a sudden, car's never been driven. So the individual comes to us and actually went to one of the top builders in the country and was like, hey, I own this car. It's a famous car worldwide. He's like, I own this car. I need it restored. And that individual that he had called goes, I'm not touching that car. The only people that should touch that car is Porsche. And so that guy called us and said, hey, you're going to get a call from this owner who has this car. No one else should touch this car because of what it means globally. Yeah. And because it had been run, that was a pretty challenging restoration of that engine because nothing had really been cycling through it ever. And that's why I say it's the best thing you can do is drive it.
Gotta drive it.
We can bring it back to new.
Yeah.
So drive the cars.
That's important. That's an important part of this because I feel like so many people think that low mileage is like the most important part of owning a classic car, but it's not necessarily. You should drive it and have fun and You can put some miles on it.
Yeah, and it's hard when you talk about, I mean, we don't talk about value here because, you know, the pleasure is the measure of value to us. But people, when they think about value, it's like, okay, super low miles means this, but it's, what's that give and take?
Yeah.
And we have a customer that we have 2 of their cars right now, and I think that the dozen plus of our, you know, higher end GT models that they have, and you would think the last cars you would drive are your 918, your 959, and your Carrera GT. Yeah, those are the daily drivers. That's what that individual drives to the office, and that goes against a lot of the rationale of, you know, low miles is where it's at. Again, everybody's going to define their own experience. So, but again, it's okay. I drove the car. I've driven the car 24,000 miles. Can you make it new or newish or whatever they need at that point in time? And fortunately, we can do that.
Because I love it. I've been driving it, but I want it back to its original condition.
And sometimes you're like, you know what, but I was the second owner of this Carrera GT, so I want it to be Ruby Star now. Whatever it may be. So through Sunderland's Recommission, we can make that happen. And, you know, that's simple things. You know, just happens that we got the paint booth right here.
Oh,
so
cool.
Again, we can do that in-house. So we have our own upholstery, we have our own body shop, we have our paint booth. So we can you know, create that whole process. And the great thing is we can have them fly in, stay here on campus at the hotel,
so nice.
Enjoy a meal at Restaurant 356, come see what's happening on the upholstery of their car. So when we go about that journey and building that timeline, that's why it's really hard to say, okay, we're going to do this in 10 months.
Yeah.
Because is that what you really want, or do you want it to be more? And we work very hard to customize the experience as well as the car.
I think that's just such a cool thing that the brand does. Even if the car isn't ready and, you know, you can come visit it, you can see your car, say hello, like you said, stay on the campus, visit and see all of the other stuff that you have going on here.
We have 3 vehicles that we're doing in conjunction with the team in Germany right now. And all 3 cars, 2 of the cars are almost nearly completely done. One, the body was not ideal when we started the project. So the body is fully a vehicle body. And we actually set up that all 3 of those owners are going over to Europe. They don't know each other, but they're all going over Europe together.
Oh, cool.
And being able to see the cars together, and they've walked through their individual experiences here, but the ability to also go over to the factory restoration facility and the Classic headquarters in Germany is really, really unique. And so being able to set those things up, and they'll end up being friends for life, probably.
They're gonna have a little friend group.
But again, those are all the unique things that we want to do to make sure that we can take the enjoyment of this process, because it can be stressful at times. I mean, honestly, it's, you know, they believe it's in the best hands possible, and just because we have it doesn't mean that, you know, they sleep well at night. So it's, please come share. You know, they request pictures and we text them videos, and, you know, whatever they need, we try to help facilitate that for them.
That's awesome.
It's, you know, these are more than just transportation devices.
Definitely.
And so we treat it as such for them.
That's awesome and very cool what you guys are doing here. I hope that the people watching, you know, maybe they get to chance to come visit or someday, or, you know, just to get to the chance to experience what you have going on.
So I'll show you the best way that we can explain our journey.
Okay.
So when we talk about history, we talk about unique vehicles within our vault. So this is cars that we're in the process of working on, maybe we're waiting for parts on, or it's a car that we just finished that we're waiting to pick up.
Wow.
But you talk about things that are fun, things that are interesting, things that mean something to a lot of people. Here amongst all these, now remember, we've got 2 959s sitting over here, just small things like that. We have a couple of the cars that we own in our own fleet, but every vehicle is so important and so unique and has this perspective that you have cars like this on the left that just get parked up against the wall. And everyone's like, wait, you have Mirage in your vault, not in the showroom? Because all the unique stories. I mean, the RS27 that we have in the lobby, is such an amazing car in its own right that it's a unique surprise and delight. People come through, they're like, wait, but isn't that, I saw this movie, and we're like, yes, that is one of the actual Mirage vehicles. So we actually restored 2 of the movie cars.
Oh, wow, cool.
And so it's fun because, you know, we had them at Rensport. We've taken them to Monterey Car Week. We have one out in LA at the Peterson Museum. This one will ultimately end up in our Porsche Museum in Zuffenhausen.
Oh, cool.
But it's a unique characteristic, but it shows everything has its own place and its own story.
Yeah.
So people come through and they're like, wait, but this is the movie star. And
it's
yes,
parked back here.
and it sits here. And not that we don't love the car, but every car is so unique. And you look at the history and seeing this on film, and you see you know right in front of it what we're about to begin a project on. So,
Wow.
Again,
This is cool.
those are the moments in time of why it's inspirational to our guests and our owners that come here, because it's different than what you're going to see at most other shops. Yes. And again, when you're talking about, you know, 3, 5, 6s, again, we have them in a number of different states. So
Wow.
it's,
This is
again,
really
unique
cool place.
journeys everywhere you turn. And one of the things that we get in trouble with to a degree is you start walking through and a guest will come and start asking a question. And if we actually sat there and told the story of the owner connection with the car and the history and maybe who some of the previous owners were, yeah, someone comes in and wants to have a meeting for an hour about their car, and, you know, luckily they don't book a flight home that day because 7, 8 hours pass, because it's really hard to step out of it.
Yeah.
And you know, for us, it's 18 months into this building, we're still the new shiny toy, because you never know what you're going to see. And that's what I remind our team here of. It's, you know, take that moment, relish what we get to do and what we get to do for people. And it's a unique privilege that we have. It's special enough to be a member of Porsche.
Yeah.
To have Porsche believe in a sub-brand like Classic and the things we do, and then be able to do it and commit to building this facility and building the support structure so we can continue to tell these stories. It's, you know, you look for inspirational things in career paths and journeys, I think we're doing okay there.
Yeah, I think so. This is so cool. I can't even imagine getting to like walk back here and see this every day. It's really cool.
And it's wild because you look at that 9.5 and this 959, and it's, you know, everything that's a different state, and people see them all as cars, and it's like, oh, that's what one looks without an engine. It looks like it should be an off-road car.
Yeah.
Was that the inspiration of the 992 Dakar? No, but you could say you see things you're like, people just start creating their own stories. But this GT2 RS that we have, and phenomenal car. We'll get GT2 RSs in 400 or 500 miles, and it's just like, why do you have that car? Because they didn't originally own that car. They bought the car. They don't want the car to be that color. They don't want that interior, so they're going to personalize it and make it true to their own identity.
What they want.
Those, again, it's always inspiring. Whether it's a car that was lost in the ocean, whether it's a car that they just picked up that they had on their wall, as a poster for years. We can, you dream it, we build it. We say that for reality. That is our goal. Can we do it 100%? No. Is our crystal ball perfect? No. Can we actually go levels beyond what people think they could ever have happen? Absolutely.
I would give you guys an A+.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Call all my old teachers and please let them know.
Gold Star is the one that got lost in the ocean back here?
It's either that one or one that's in, it actually might be the one that is back in the body shop right now. It looks a lot like this now because we've rebuilt them and brought the shell back to not having any holes or anything like that.
Wow.
Honestly, the engine mechanical componentry fared worse than a lot of the structural components,
Yeah.
which is a good testament to how the
The
car
build
was
quality,
built.
yeah, that makes sense. Do you find like fish in it, some barnacles, a mailbox?
Luckily on the ride up here, most of that got washed out, but it was a very unique sight.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It was wild. You know, when we take a car apart, you think there's a lot of unique elements. So actually, when we take a car apart, there will be basically 3 carts of these red carts, 3 carts worth of parts,
full of parts.
and then we can put some of the bigger parts on top and on those racks.
Wow.
So that's why you see 3 carts there. You know, again, we're gonna start putting this car back together.
Cool.
That's why there's 3 carts. So it's just interesting that all of our models, doesn't matter from a 356 and up, basically you're 3 carts full of parts.
How long until that one is back in the hands of the owners, you think?
Once we start reassembling that, probably about 6 weeks.
Oh, cool.
From getting it fully assembled, going through all of our quality checks, our test drives on the car, any alternative inspections we want to do on it.
Cool.
So it's honestly not an extremely long or aggressive process.
Well, I'm excited for them. That must be exciting for them to be reaching the finish line with that one.
Yeah, it's, you kind of get to that point and start showing them pictures when reassembly, and you start, and it's funny because, it doesn't matter if they're 35 years old or 75 years old. All of a sudden, the kid in all of them starts coming out because it's like, wait, this is almost
They're
done.
like showing their neighbors at dinner. They're like bringing
excitement.
them out.
and the funny thing is we'll send them pictures of just the completed engine, and they'll tell stories how they were out at a dinner party just showing the pictures of the engine on their phone.
Of course.
And it's such an amazing, accomplishment for us that people feel that pride and that excitement.
Yeah.
And again, we're just extremely lucky to have the opportunity to do what we do and share in that passion. And if we can make people find excitement and sharing pictures of the engine, you just think about when the car is done and they're in the car, what that truly means to them.
I'm going to be so excited. Well, thank you for sharing that with me today. I loved hearing about this and getting to see all of these cars. This is really cool what you guys are doing here.
It's fun, it's unique, and you can see why we enjoy it and why we do it.